me what you guys would do with this lead. House is worth $430,000. Seller wants $18,000 cash. And the seller owes $400,000. What do you do with that deal? What do you do with that deal? How do you structure it and make money on that deal? Do you pass on it, right? Do you wholesale it? Do you, what do you do? How do you make that deal happen? How do you turn that into revenue? Because those are a lot of deals that come in, right? Whether a seller wants retail that comes in, or a lead comes in where they owe significantly higher than your actually cash offer. Because think about it, on a $430,000 deal, I mean, we're talking, what, a $300,000 plus offer, right? $300,000 offer. So what you're going to do is, how you're going to do it. So you're going to look at this. Now, when you're analyzing these deals and leads that come in, so and you're looking at it and you're going, okay, seller, if the house is worth $430,000, they owe $400,000 and the seller needs $18,000 cash, right? So that becomes that is the tools that we got to play around with and structure it. So first off, we have to think, right? We have 3 buyers that are in our buyer pool as real estate wholesalers. So first off, who are our 3 buyers? See if you guys have been paying attention. This is gonna be like a quiz session. See if we can do this. Who are your 3 buyers? Let me know who your 3 buyers are. And I'll tell you how to present the offer, how to structure your offer, and how to pitch it to the seller here in a second. But I want to know, but you have to understand this first. Who's your 3 buyers? Your buyer, because remember, we're wholesalers. And as real estate wholesalers, we have to sell our properties super fast, like in lightning speed. And like within 7 days or less, people have to jump on it to be able to buy our properties. They got to be able to submit an offer quickly and be able to understand the value of jumping on this and closing quickly. If average days on market are 120 days, 100 days, 80 days, 90 days, we got to get them to jump on it like it's such an amazing deal that we can sell it and move it quickly, right? So our 3 buyers are, yes, it's our fix and flip buyer. So a fix and flip buyer, and we got a buy and hold buyer, and we got a retail buyer. Fix and flip buyer is going to buy it because their accountant's telling them to purchase real estate because they have to offset their taxes. The buy and hold buyer is looking for cash flow, and a retail buyer is looking to live there in the property, right? So we know our 3 buyers for this particular deal. So we know our 3 buyers. So now the next thing is, once we understand our 3 buyers, this has to go in the mentality. So for you guys jumping on right now, we got a lead that came in, or someone asked about a lead that came in where the house is worth $430,000, they owe $400,000, and they want $18,000. We're talking about structuring the deal, but before we structure the deal, we have to determine who is our buyer for this particular deal, right? Who's our buyer for this deal? So the information we need to gather, number one is is it a loan that we can do a down payment arbitrage on, right? So there's certain type of loans. There's a VA loan we can do it on. There's a regular conventional loan we can do it on. We can't do it on FHA loans, right? We can do it on, as long as you got a conventional loan, it's a VA loan, you can do it. That's pretty much the majority of loans other than FHA that's going to come in. FHA, we can't do it on FHA. That's a different deal structure. That's where you're actually going to do a lease option on that, which I don't want to get into that. That's another whole live thing. We'll talk about lease options, sandwich lease options, all that type of stuff. Anyways, the bottom line is we have to have a loan that we can do it. So let's say in this deal in particular has a loan, a conventional loan on it. So now we got to know on that loan what the payment is, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to go to Zillow rental estimates. And what we're going to do on Zillow rental estimates, we're going to put in the property address, and what it's going to do is give us a range of what the property can rent for, okay? So first off, we got to know what the actual loan amount, payment is. So we want to have a spread between the payment amount and the actual rental amount, right? So we got to make sure that, because the better the spread, the more the spread. If we can get the spread $300 or more, then we're going to be able to attract that cash flow buyer, and we're also going to attract the retail buyer, and we're going to be able to attract the rehab buyer. So when we're structuring this deal, we have to understand a couple things. One, the more the cash flow, the better. Between the mortgage payment and the actual rents in the market, the bigger the spread, the easier it will be able to sell in the marketplace, number one. Number two is if it has some equity, the easier it is to sell in the marketplace. If the property has some equity, right? So she wants 418. Now remember, we're gonna have to turn around and flip it, and the property's worth 430. If there's some equity in the property, the more equity, the better. That's number two. Now, so the next thing is you get cash flow. You've got the potential equity in the property. The third thing is the least amount of down possible. Right? The least amount of down possible, then it's going to entice a buyer to jump on your property as a wholesaler and sell this property super quick, right? And the third thing is term, how long the term is going to be. How long is it going to be? So if we know that, if that's our basis, if that's our checklist, and we're going to checklist, and we have a little checklist, and we're going to go, okay, I've got to have as much cash flow as possible. So when you're negotiating with a seller, you want to make sure you negotiate if you're going to do secondary loans on the property and wrap equity positions and stuff. You got to make sure there's enough cash flow in the property to get it jumped. That's number one. Number two is you're sitting there and you're doing your checklist. It has to be a long enough term for sellers to be able to, or buyers be able to jump on it so they don't have to refinance it in 6 months or a year or 2 years or whatever. They can have it in place for a long time. It's got to have a least amount of down payment. So if you have something with least amount of down payment, it's going to cast a broader net to attract more people. So let's structure this deal again, okay? So we know that now. Now that's the parameters we want to put on this particular deal. Now we can go in and we can negotiate that deal and make a profit. So let's go make some money. So house is worth 430. Seller wants 18,000 cash. There's a $400,000 loan on the property, right? So what do we do, right? What do we do? So what we're going to do is first off, we're going to go meet the seller, walk around, build rapport, do the entire thing, right? And we're going to pitch the seller our options. And we got to, and what happens is, remember, we got to reduce that 18,000 down to as minimal amount as possible, right? A minimal amount as possible. So if we're gonna reduce that amount, how can we negotiate with the seller to reduce that amount? Well, you got to get to their net number, right? So them now, this is how you pitch these type of deals. You talk about their options. You say, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. You could sell your property with a realtor, right? So let's do the math and determine what you're gonna net as selling the property with the realtor. So let's say you list the property for $430,000. Well, you're gonna have 6% is the list to close ratio, and you can get this in, like, if you go to Flip More Houses and you go through the demo or REI Automator there, if you look inside there, it gives you a list to sold ratio. So currently, blanket across the Phoenix area, it's typically, and it's different for each market, it's about 6%. So list to close ratio, that means most people aren't getting full price. So the bottom line is, yeah, so you turn around 6%, so you got $26,800. Appreciate it. So $26,000 off of 6% is coming off that 430. Now you're down to 400. Now you got 6% you have to use to basically pay a realtor. So you got 6%, that's another $26,000. So you got 50 grand coming off the top, and we haven't even, right? That's just trying to put the property out to market. So now we're down to what? 400 or another 25, we're down to 475 or 375, sorry, $375,000 for the property. Then you're gonna have a couple percent, 2 or 3, 4% closing costs and stuff like that, typically about 2%. So 2%, 430,000 is another $8,000. So 8,000 off 475 is gonna be, let's call it just, 468 or whatever, or 368. So 368,000. Now remember, 375, perfect. So what do they owe? Well, we know they owe $400,000. So remember, we're pitching the deal. We're doing the math with them. We're talking through the process with them, right? And we're saying, hey, listen, let me ask you a question. Your options, Mr. Seller, are to list the property. So let's look at those numbers if you list the property. They have a $400,000 loan, man. You're paying attention. Good. So we got $400,000 loan. They list it for top of price, $430,000. And because they list it, they have a list to close ratio of 6%. They got 6% to a real estate commission, and they got 2% closing costs. Now they're down to $368,000 that's going to go in their pocket. They're going to have to come to the table to get rid of the house to the tune of almost $30,000 to get rid of their house, right? $30,000. So you look at it, you say, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller, and this is you talking to the seller. You say, do you have an extra $30,000 laying around to sell your house if you pick option one because you want to sell it retail? And what do you think the seller's going to say? The seller's going to say, what are you talking about? I don't have $30,000. I don't have $30,000, right? So you say option number two, you could use your house as a rental. Have you ever thought about using your house as a rental, Mr. Seller? The seller's going to go, Every time I tell that to a seller, they panic and they go, I don't want to be a landlord. I have to move out of state and I have to deal with this. I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to do that, right? So your third option, and this is how you pitch this deal to a seller, and they're going to land on your option because they don't like all the others. You know what your third option is? Third option, they could do a voluntary foreclosure. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. You don't want to list and sell because you don't want to come to the table with 25, 30 grand. You don't want to be a landlord and you don't want to rent the place because you don't want to be long term. You could do a voluntary foreclosure. You could just let the thing go back to the bank. Have you ever considered doing that? I don't want to ruin my credit. I don't want to do it. They're going to freak out, right? Or guess what, Mr. Seller? You know what we could do, right? You know what we could do? And we've done these for several, and I think your house, qualifies. Obviously, depends on you. We could leave your existing loan in place, Mr. Seller, for, say, 5 years. I could make the payments on it. And what we could do, instead of 18 grand, and you having to come to the property with cash, Mr. Seller, what we could do is we could give you $5,000 cash. Now, it's obviously better than coming in the table with 30 grand, isn't it, Mr. Seller? Yes. So you could turn around, we could get you $5,000. We could keep your existing loan in place. You could sell your property and you can move out and you can move on to wherever you're going to move on to, right? So now what happens? You gave them 4 different options. They're going to pick your option. Why? Because they're getting $5,000 cash. They get to leave the loan in place and they get that deal done, right? So now what happens is they land on your option and they pick your option. From that point forward, now you can write it up. So now what did you do? You got a $430,000 house. They owe $400,000. They wanted 18, but you educated them on the fact of their real net number, of what they're actually going to get when they sell the property, which is nothing. They're going to have to come to the table with 25, 30 grand, which they don't want to do. Now they educate through their options. Say, go ahead and pick your options. Go ahead and sell your property retail, come out of pocket, cut a check for 30 grand. Go ahead. Or you could turn around and you could be a landlord. Go ahead, right? So here's how you structure it and here's how you make a profit off it. They pick your option. They land on your option. Now you got to structure the deal. Say, great. What we're going to do, Mr. Seller, is we're going to leave your $400,000 loan in place. I'm going to get you $5,000 at close of escrow, and what we're going to do is an agreement for sale, land contract, contract for deed, whatever state you're in. What we're going to do is do an agreement for sale, and the title is essentially not going to transfer until we pay off the $400,000 in full. You've got the deal. You're leaving the loan in place for 5 years. You're giving them $5,000 cash, right? And what's happening is now you just blanket it. You've just structured the deal on a land contract, contract for deed, or agreement for sale. Now you're turning around and now you have the deal. So remember, you got the deal for $5,000 down versus 18 because you understood. You got the $400,000 place in 5 years and it's worth $430. Now let's go make some money. What we're going to do is now we're going to take that and package it and we're going to sell it into the market. We're going to put it on Craigslist. We're going to put it out to our email buyers list. We're going to turn around and put signs up. We can do whatever we want to do, but now we can sell that into the marketplace. And guys, listen, I want you to listen to this. It will fly off the shelf. You're going to sell it into the marketplace and your phone's going to blow up. Everybody's going to want this deal. Everybody wants seller financing deal because you have 3 buyers, right? You have 3 buyers. You have a retail buyer that's going to love the property because they can get in it. They don't have to qualify for a bank. And here's what they're going to do. We're going to put it out for $20,000. We could put it out for $40,000 down. That's only 10%. right? That's less than 10%. We could put the deal out for $40,000. We had a deal that we closed a couple weeks ago, right? We gave the seller $500. We put it out for $29,000. We made $28,000 in a week, just like that, just by doing this. So this deal, you could put it out for $40,000 down, 40 grand down, of which the buyer comes in with 40 grand, 5,000 goes to the seller, right? 5,000 goes to the seller, and you pocket the difference, 40,000 down. It's less than 10%. You want to be less than 20% in your down payments. You put that down, and guess what happens? You make $35,000 on a deal where a seller owes retail. Now, would a buy and hold a buyer and buy it? Yes, because there's cash flow in the deal. So you're going to down payment arbitrage. You're going to make, right? You're going to make $35,000 on a deal that you would pass on. It sells quickly in the market. Buy and hold and buyer is going to love it. A fix and flip guy, he's going to love it because he's going to get cash flow, and his accountant's telling him to basically buy real estate. And the retail buyer is going to love it because they're going to have their mortgage payment below rents, and they're going to have 5 years, and they don't have to go through the whole stupid mortgage process, what everybody hates to do, right? It's crazy. No one wants to do that. So the bottom line is that this is a phenomenal way. I just turned a deal that 99% of all your competitors, the deal's worth $430, seller wanted 18 grand, and they owe 400. You would pass on that deal. And I just showed you how to make $30,000 on that particular deal. More than that, $35,000, right? $35,000. So recap, okay, so let me recap it. So on an AB, so the AB is your transaction with the seller. That's called the A to B side. That transaction is, you're gonna leave the $400,000 loan in place. You're gonna give the seller $5,000. You're gonna leave the term for 5 years on that particular property. So now what do you have? What's the cash needed on the A to B transaction? $5,000. That's all that's needed, 5 grand. 5 grand, that's it. So only $5,000 is needed on the A to B transaction, right? And you can literally, like I said, that's where I bought houses for $500, right? I bought $300,000 or $400,000 houses for $500. The only cash needed on this is 5 grand, correct, good job. So now we're going to turn around, and now we've got the A to B transaction, the B to C, my fault, sorry. The B to C transaction. That's between you and your buyer. So the buyer's going to put down, right? The buyer's going to put down $40,000, which is only 10%, less than 10% of a $430,000 deal. So they're going to put down $40,000 with a $400,000 loan in place, with payments that have $300 a month cash flow. So they're going to come in with $40,000, of which $5,000. So that's your arbitrage. You got the B to C, where the guy's coming in with $40,000, and you got the A to B, where you're only got $5,000. So you got $40,000 coming in. This is the only cash transaction. $40,000 coming in, $5,000 going out, and the difference, $35,000, goes to you. The $400,000 stays constant. It stays in place for the term of 5 years. We use the same title company on the transaction with the A to B and the B to C, right? And what they're going to do is they're going to create the agreement for sale, the land contract, the contract for deed, and they're going to have a servicing company service those loans. You're going to create a wrap, what's called an exact wrap, on the existing $400,000 loan, and the servicing company is going to manage that exact wrap, which is phenomenal. So you're more times than not, more leads come across that a seller owes if the house is worth $430, seller owes $400, and they want $18,000. Those are pretty predominant type of leads. It's, house is worth $310, seller owes $290, and they want to move and they want to sell. Those are a lot of leads that come in the door. You're going to have a pre-foreclosure deals, right? Pre-foreclosure deals are some of the best ways. I built a 120 unit property portfolio off of this method right here, and I kept the properties myself, and then I turned around and sold them. So the question is don't let education, right? And this is all education. Having to know everything stop you from taking action. Let me put it this way. It's more important for you to take massive action, and as leads come in, and then a lead comes in, and then turn around and say and figure out, I got so many videos on YouTube you could watch I've got these deals you can watch and stuff like that. You can talk to your title company. But I guess what I'm saying is this, is don't let the, and what they call it, analysis paralysis, where you have to know everything before you take action. You don't want to do that. You want to take massive action. You're going to get leads that come in, and guess what? You got to figure it out, right? You got to figure out, it's a wholesale deal, make an offer. It's a down payment arbitrage deal. Well, hit me up on Instagram, ask me in my DMs right there, and I'll see if I can answer it. Even if I get 50 billion DMs, I'll try to answer it on here, or shoot a comment on the comments there. Or if you're a Flip2Freedom Academy member, we have an entire Facebook group. I do coaching calls every other week, and I get online and we talk about this stuff. I answer questions just like this to help people progress and move forward, right? But here's the thing, please don't not take action because you want to learn everything. Don't do it. That's not the way to do it, okay? The way to do it is take action and learn, take action and learn, take action and learn, take action and learn. That is the way to do it. I see so many people they buy all these courses and all this training and all this education. There's great tools out there, like Flip More Houses. It's a phenomenal tool. That's something I believe you need to have. Down payment arbitrage, it's a skill that's amazing. Is it great to have it in your tool shed? Yes, because you do one deal. Just think about it. The deal I just talked about. The guy just asked me if he knew down payment arbitrage, he'd make $35,000 on this deal. Well, the course itself is like, what, $500-600? He's gonna make $30,000 for it, $35,000 on a deal. It's ridiculous, right? You guys have a good evening. You guys go out there and crush it. Thank you so much for being here. Awesome. You guys rock the house. Go share this. Go share my stuff if you out there and appreciate it. Share it with a friend. And guys, go out there and crush it. I'll be on tomorrow. So make sure you put your post notifications on. I'll be sharing some cool stuff. Because I want all you guys to escape. I want all you guys to get out there and crush it and build these massive amounts of cash flow in your life and business. Take wholesaling, learn it, turn around, pour it into a cash flow business. Guys, you guys are gonna it'll change your life. You'll be completely blown away of what it can do for you in your life. So have a phenomenal evening. Love you guys. God bless.